So again, good morning, everyone. Good morning. What are you here for? Well done. At least you know you came to the right place for the right event. So as you know, my name is Leha. If you don't know, that's fine too. My name is Har Goh. I've been here a number of times. Hello. Okay, all right. So we've got a day packed of programs. And I'm hoping that all of you will stay until the end of the day. I'll go through the program at some point. But let me just first welcome all of you to today's event. And thanks for supporting this. I wasn't sure when I was telling Ajahn Brahmali, I said I was so ambitious. I had a plan. I know exactly what I want to do. But I'm not sure whether I can pull it off. So I just went ahead. And I'm very grateful for the people who came along with me on the journey because I don't know how much we can do, and there's like AV challenges as well. So everyone has been really great. Shane, can you move to the next slide? So the first slide is to welcome everyone to the event. Can the monks and nuns see what's on the screen? Yeah, maybe it's less for the nuns over there. No, not. Is that the next one? Yeah, okay, all right. So I will quickly go through the program for today. So I'm going to kind of like keep talking until 8 for about 15 minutes, I think. So then at 8:45, we will have Dennis who will come up and do the opening. So he'll do a short opening speech. Then at 9 o'clock, we would have a dialogue session between Ajahn Brahm and Ajahn Brahmali. So Ajahn Brahm, in that session, Ajahn Brahmali is supposed to interview you, so you're not asking the questions. Ajahn Brahmali will be asking the questions, so you cannot ask any question back. You can only give answers. He's not looking happy, is he? It's very unusual that he cannot ask a question. No, not true. During Q&A, we ask questions too. But it's unusual that your monks only ask you the question and you cannot ask them back. Anyway, okay, we'll see how that goes. At 10 o'clock, we will then do a Zoom session with BSW. So BSW is Buddhist Society of Victoria. So Ajahn Nissarano and his team will be there. He's like patiently waiting to join this session. And he'll have 15 minutes where he would have something planned for Ajahn Brahm. I should not say more. After that, we will break for lunch. That's when we can join the Dana and the Pindabat. Then we will all come back at 1 o'clock, except for the monks and nuns, if you choose to rest. But I'm going to do a quiz, so I'm hoping that all of you will come back. I can assure you, it's a very fun quiz. You know how I'm like, right? There's never a dull moment with me. So make sure you come back. And we have prizes to give away. We're giving away books that has Ajahn Brahm's signature. I have to be very careful how I say it, Ajahn, because I should not say that he signed the book. But, so we stamped his signature. I cannot lie, so I cannot say he signed the book. So I have to say his signature is on the book. Yeah? So we are giving that as prizes. So please come back, and it's very, very fun, I can assure you. I would like to invite the nuns to come back if you're not too tired, because the last part of the quiz, I would like you to be the judge as to who should be the winner. Yeah? You can come in like 2:30, at 1:30 or something, but it's very fun. I was explaining to Venerable Chanda, because I went to pick her up this morning, and she was like, yes, it's so nice. Okay, anyway, so please come back. The questions are very nice. Not your typical Ajahn Brahm's questions, insider questions. Okay, so after the quiz, at 2 o'clock, we will do another Zoom session that's with the nuns from different monasteries, from Santi, from Newbury, from Anukampa, Venerable Chanda is here, and then from Dhammasara, we'll have Venerable Vimutti, who's going to do it, and Ajahn Munisara is going to try to join us as well. Yeah, she had me working until midnight yesterday because she sent me some things, then I have to like add into the slide. So yeah, so we'll see if she can get on. But you're going to be representing Dhammasara. So that will go on until 3:30, so that's a panel discussion. Then at 3:30, that's when Ajahn Brahm will be doing a Dhamma talk for about 30 minutes. Then we'll do a closing. So we should end around like 4:15 or 4:30. Does that sound like fun? Yes. Really? Yes. Are you sure? Yes. Okay, all right. Okay. Then I think we can start. Next slide, please. Ooh, look what's on the screen now. So we have, as part of this event, we have done an ebook. So from today onwards, you would be able to go into the BSWA website and download a copy of the ebook. It will contain congratulatory messages from lay people, from monastics all over the world. There will be messages from people telling you how Ajahn Brahm has touched their lives. There will be messages from the monks and nuns saying why they are inspired to go forth. And there is handwritings of Ajahn Brahm that you may not be across. So we've got lots in store in this ebook. And I wasn't the main person behind it. I kind of like came up with the idea, but then people were working very hard. Shane, I just hope that the screen doesn't fall over.
That's good.
I'm not sure whether we need to do something to...
Exciting.
Huh?
Put it fast speed.
Okay. Anyway, there isn't anyone sitting near there, but anyway. Okay, all right. So the ebook is available for downloading for anyone, but we have also printed 800 copies to be given away. So I'm not giving away now because you guys will be opening up the book and reading. So we've got the boxes already lined up. Gasyong will help me to distribute the books at the end of this session, or not this session, in the morning session before we go for Dana. Yeah. And if you need any extra copies, then yeah, you can let us know. So that's the ebook. So I would like to kind of like express my thanks and gratitude to those people who have helped to put together the ebook. Frezi Z being one of them. He's based in Hong Kong, and he's the one who did the front cover, beautiful front cover. And I had Manel Fernando. Manel, where are you? Manel sitting at the back. So she and Ayah Santa especially, they were the two main person who kind of like collected everything. Manel has to do the proofread. Then they kind of like, Ayah Santa put the design together. So that's where the book is. And we have Ajahn Brahmali. Just before, I can't remember, he was on the trip. I'm not sure whether he was on the plane already or at the airport, where he had to proofread. So he very quickly used his speed reading, and then he kind of like, yeah, gave us some comments. So thanks to Ajahn Brahmali as well. But whatever it is, we are happy with it. It doesn't matter. You might find faults, because I was also asked to proofread. I spent about 4 hours proofreading, but I wasn't doing proofreading. I was simply reading, and I was so overwhelmed by emotions, by some of the messages, and I was just having a lot of joy just reading. So if there is any mistakes there, just blame it on me, not on the team, because I didn't do my part. But I think it's a very lovely book. Ajahn Brahm want to say something.
Yes, the first mistake. Despite all that he has given and continues to give, he lives simply in a small cave in the forest, has no money or bank account, and enjoys nothing more than a cup of tea and sitting in medication. He says.
Maybe that was deliberate. Maybe you need medication, Ajahn?
Vitamin T.
Maybe it's Ajahn, maybe it's a hint that you need to see the doctor and get your health checked. Okay, but anyway, thanks for pointing that out. Okay, so so much for the ebook. So we'll hand out a copy later on. All right, can we move to the next slide? Okay, so as part of this 5-week program, I kind of decided 50 50 years, what can I do about the number 50? I wanted to kind of like celebrate for 50 days, but then I started quite late, so I couldn't do 50 days. So I thought I'll just do 5 Saturdays, 5 weekends. So when I first told Ajahn Brahm that I want to celebrate this, he was not very keen. Ajahn, he doesn't like to trouble people. He was not very keen. So I had to make him excited, So one of the things I said that came to my mind, because I was just talking to him, I wasn't even prepared what I'm going to say, but the words just came up from my mouth. Anyway, so I told him, I said, I'm going to reach out to organizations that you have kind of like influenced over the years, like you've provided teachings, and I'm quite sure they'll be quite happy to do a teaching in honor of your 50th anniversary, and I think that got him a little bit excited. So, but that is what we did. So we basically reach out to organizations like Buddhist Fellowship, and sorry, I may not be able to name every single one, Buddhist Fellowship, BSW, Anukampa, who else? We've got lots on there, but
BSWA.
And they were very nice. They came back and they said, yep, and we said, do a Zoom session because we want people all over the world can join. We want a recording, so eventually we can put it on our website. So that's the program that we had, and in fact, I think BSV had like maybe 3 or 4 in there, but it was very nice, and we are again very grateful to all the organizations who have contributed, and I participated. I forgot to mention Santi. I participated in one of them, and it was really good. It was very nice, very heartwarming to hear them talk about how Ajahn Brahm has influenced their lives and whether they decided to become monks or nuns, but also lay people, how he has touched their lives. So that when you have the time, please go back and kind of like watch those videos. It'll be quite nice. Okay, next slide, Shane. All right. So we go back to 50 years ago. Ajahn, can you tell what's on the screen?
Yeah.
Can you tell everyone what's that place?
The one on the right is like Wat Saket. That used to be the tallest building in Bangkok many years ago. Now it's dwarfed by big skyscrapers. And on the left-hand side, that's my preceptor, Somdet Buddhajan. His first name was Chakun Prat Pom Gunapon. So the first name he gave me was Brahmaguna. But then somebody said that calling someone like a goon, I might get a lot of difficulty, so I changed it to Brahmawangsa. That was my preceptor in Wat Saket. And remember, I often tell the story that in that hall, you just see the front of the hall there, in the back, or actually when you go back, that was where I used to do walking meditation, just as a novice, and got really, really peaceful. And it took me half an hour to go from one end of the hall to the other end, another half an hour back. We used to have a big clock there, a grandfather clock, so I knew exactly what the time was. And also that was the time when somebody came up to me, or I kind of heard this sound. Someone was shouting my name. Brahmawangso, Brahmawangso. And I didn't know what it was. And then so I took my attention away from my feet to my ear, and it was another monk shouting in my ear hole. Because I'd missed an appointment. I was supposed to go to some appointment, and this monk was sent to come and get me. But what was amazing was that even though I was just walking meditation, not sitting, you got so still, so peaceful, that when they tried to get your attention, they were even shouting. And it took a long time to get your attention away from the samadhi, which was my feet moving, and back over to my ear hole. And I remember it took a lot of minutes to turn my head around. What? That's what happens even in walking meditation. You can get very, very still. So that was done in that hall. That's the front of the hall there. Carry on.
Thank you, Ajahn Brahm, for providing the explanation. And it's very nice for us to see the place where Ajahn Brahm got ordained. So Ajahn, both the novice ordination as well as the Bhikkhu, right?
Correct.
It's in that.
Yeah.
But it's, in those days, was it like such a popular place. It's like a touristy place now.
Oh, that place was the top of the Watsaket.
Yeah?
But this the hall. It's a separate building, a separate place.
Yep.
But the building, the Apostle Hall, is not really that popular. It's just nice and quiet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's the wax figure of the Somdat, who's your preceptor.
It's a wax figure. Huh?
Yeah, that's the wax figure.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So thanks to Ajahn Nissarano who supplied me the photos, I had to work until midnight trying to put this in. But it was very nice. She went there to take a photo and she said, oh, Leha, you could share this. Okay, our next slide. So, I don't think a lot of people have seen this, but I was very thrilled when Ajahn Brahm came one day, and he likes to show off stuff to me when he comes to us, Aurora as well. He would come, and he's very nice. Ajahn Brahm is always very kind. When he comes to Dhammaloka, Ajahn Brahmali, you got to hear this, because when Ajahn Brahmali comes, he just goes straight into the monk's cottage. When Ajahn Brahm comes, he will go to the office where my admins are. That's his passport, monk's passport. So Ajahn Brahm would walk to the admin office, and he'll come and and then he'll see Aurora and Elle, and he'll say, what can I do for you today? Isn't it, Aurora? That's what he said. And we're like, oh, okay, we've got a few questions. And then he'll walk to me, what can I do for you today, Leha? And I was like, okay, we have a few questions, And one day he took that out, he said, look. And we were like, what? Yeah. And he told me, he said I could keep this for a few days because I wanted to take photographs. I said, no, I can't. It's too delicate. The pages are like falling apart. But it's very nice to see the monk's passport. Okay, next slide, please, Shane. So,
it's also got Ajahn Chah's signature.
Shane, are you able to move because I think some part of it is cut off.
Yeah.
I'm quite sure it fit. Oh, no?
Because, it wasn't the ordination. No, it wasn't the ordination, but I was staying there. I stayed there for 6 months.
No, I'm not sure what happened there. That's okay.
No,
all right.
what happens to you afterwards?
Okay. Sorry, I'm running a bit over. Sorry, you're not seeing the whole thing, but anyway. So you know how sometimes people would bring dana to the monasteries and they're running late. And as a result, the monks have already got their food, they're upstairs, and these people can bring their food straight away, and the monks would have to eat those food, right? Get passed around. So you kind of bypass the crowd, and it goes directly up. So this particular person, same thing. We had the ebook already done, and on the last minute, he sent this to me and said, how can you put this in an ebook? I was like, no, I can't. But then I saw it was very nice. So Amita actually wrote a poem for Ajahn Brahm. So he's going to read it out shortly. But I have a disclaimer. He also provided a Sri Lankan version, Sinhalese version, sorry, thanks for correcting. But I can't read. And I told him, I said, I trust you, because I don't know what you have put, because I'm going to put it on the screen and the world is going to see this. And he assured me it's okay. So if it's not, you let me know. Anyway, I'm so sorry you can't see the whole thing, but Amita is going to read out the poem.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity for me to pay gratitude to Ajahn. I wrote 2 poems for you, Ajahn, in Sinhalese, which is the language more close to my heart. So I'm going to read it now. Also, I tried my best to do the English translation for you to understand. Chetasi is going to read the English version, joining with me. ඉතිරෙන මුව පුරා කරුණා දයාබරින් අපමණ පිරිස් සනසා එතුමන් වදනින් 50ක් පැවිදි දිවියට පුරනා ගරුමන් නමදිමි බ්‍රහ්ම වංශෝ සම්මිදුන් සතුටින්.
Oozing out always compassion and mercy, consoling countless people with his words. He who has completed 50 years of monastic life I bow to Ajahn Brahm with joy.
දෙසුමන් රසවත්යයින් හාසය ගෙනෙන පහදයි සරල ලෙස දහමේ ගැඹුරු තැන වෙනසක් නොකර තම හදවතේ දොර අරින සුදුහා මුදුරුවන් අපගේ සිනාසෙන.
Sermons are entertaining, brings laughter out, explains simply the deepest places of the Dhamma, with no exception, opens the door of his heart, our dearest smiling white monk.
That's my nickname in...
For those who don't know, Ajahn Brahm has a nickname in Sri Lanka.
Okay,
He is fondly known as Smiling White Monk. Before finishing, I would also like to greet Ajahn with palms together in traditional Sri Lankan way with word Ayubowan, which means, may you live a long, healthy life. So, Ayubowan Ajahn.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amita and Chetasi. Amita is currently our secretary of the BSWA. And I do know, but we've got a lot of hidden talents even within the committee. So thanks, Amita. So with this, let me call upon Danny Sheppard to do the opening speech. I don't know what he'll be talking about. Oh, I think the title of the speech is A 50-Year Reflection in 15 Minutes. But I think you only have 10 minutes now, sorry.
Thank you, Leha. Well, this is really a great privilege to... hello, Ajahn Brahm. Yeah, I've got to just sort of squint to just see just exactly where you are. But a great privilege to come and talk a little about well, my memories of Ajahn Brahm, because they do go back to the time when he first came here. And I suppose the first thing just to say really is that Ajahn Jagaro, who was the spiritual director at the time, we had another monk, Venerable Peruso, was he had to go back to Bangkok really, well, mainly because he really couldn't, well, I think it was that he couldn't really stand the trials and tribulations that were here in Perth at the time. And because we were just really had one little house in North Perth. And anyway, he went back and Ajahn Jagaro was just really absolutely beyond, over the moon, really. He came to me one day and he said, you know, guess what, we're having this monk come and his name is Ajahn Brahm. And he said, you wait till you meet him, Dennis, you wait till you meet him. He is a monk's monk. And so Ajahn Brahm arrived. I mean, there was, right from the very start, you know, his sense of humour, even, I might even say sometimes a little bit ribald, the humour. But he was, on the whole though, very quiet. He kind of stayed in the background, as probably good monks should do when there's, Ajahn Jagaro was the spiritual director at the time. And, but right from the start you could see that this Ajahn Brahm was going to be a really very, very good monk. And that sort of showed up. I mean, I have been involved in helping with a lot of the building work and the design work of the different buildings that we've had around the place. But Ajahn Brahm has always been there with his trusty trowel and laying bricks and doing carpentry, doing all the skills that a builder would do, and doing them well, very, very well. And as you'll see, no doubt, with the ebook that Leha was talking about, if there's a sample of his writing in there too, this is very instructive just to look at. Really, the way that he does this copyright print, just very mindful. You can see just how mindful it is. And sort of doesn't surprise me with that. That's the first time I've heard that story about the feet and the ear. But that certainly doesn't surprise me at all. But Ajahn Brahm at the start was a very gung-ho monk, as far as in my estimation anyway at the time. There was nothing that he couldn't do. I mean, he slept on a door. He went down at the monastery, it was just a few bricks and the door. You know, he didn't even take the panelling off. Just sort of put some kind of blanket over the top to sleep on it, and that was in a water tank. But all the monks were probably doing that at the time. It was, but I remember especially though us not being really, people like myself, and I'm only speaking for myself now, there were people who did know what to do, how to treat monks, but we didn't really have much idea of how to look after monks at that time. You know, we didn't really know what the rules and to my great embarrassment, I always remember the day when I took Ajahn Brahm to a funeral one morning. I don't know if you remember this, I guess you would, where coming back, he didn't tell me about dana, and I kind of just didn't even really think about it. I'd just driven him to the funeral, and we finished the funeral at maybe 10:30, 11 or something like that. So I sort of just about drove him straight back to Magnolia Street. And then Ajahn Jagaro was there, and he said, "Have you had lunch?" He said, "No." And I just, you know, I didn't really even think about it. So anyway, there was a great scuffle in to get into the fridge just to see what was there, just to see what we could get out to give Ajahn Brahm a feed for that day. But that was kind of probably some of the reasons why Perusa went back to Thailand. But anyway, Ajahn Brahm came out and weathered that storm fairly well, I would think. Sorry? Yes, it did. Yeah, that's something else that you could definitely say that I remember about him. He was certainly a lot thinner, but I don't, you know, I mean, you say that you're kind of a little bit fat or plumpish. You always say that, but I don't think you are, Ajahn. I think that you're just right. Just right. So, so just remembering that part. And then what I'd like to say about Ajahn Brahm, just over the years from there, from this gung-ho start, you know, over the years we've watched Ajahn Brahm soften so much. You know, it used to be, practicing Buddhism with him was really quite fierce in the first little time, you know, with just the times to get up at retreats and various things like that. And it's been quite a joy just to see the way that Ajahn Brahm has sort of softened down to be so sensitive to people in the years that sort of followed that, really, because there was one time when we were sitting in the back on the back lawn at Magnolia Street that used to have a little sort of a ramping lawn. It went like up and like this, and we used to sort of sit at one side so the monks could be at the other, and we would sort of have like a little, it was a mini auditorium in the back. But anyway, Ajahn Brahm was probably one of his very first talks here, and he went on this rampage for 1 hour, about books.
Oh, yes.
Now, it's a really interesting story coming from someone now who's one of the world's best sellers, especially. Books, books, books. Bin, bin, bin. Don't read books. Bin, bin, bin. You know, for 1 hour, this diatribe went on. And Ajahn Jagaro was sitting up next to him, you know, and when he finally finished, to our relief, all of us that were sitting there, Ajahn Jagaro turned to Brahm and he said, "Well, thank you very much for that, Ajahn Brahm." He said, "Now, we've got a fundraiser for this weekend. We're selling this book." Yeah, it's just a classic. But at any rate, yes, Ajahn Brahm is really, over the years, has been a wonderful role model to everybody. But what I would like to say, that I think probably one of his best attributes is the way that he does really love himself. You know, I'll just mention a little bit about the nuns situation in a minute, but I did travel with him to Wat Pah Pong when he was summoned over there to be excommunicated. And I remember walking in with him into the Bangkok Bangkok airport rather. And, you know, as you're walking along, you know, Ajahn Brahm was on this side, you know, and he's walking along and I could feel myself being sort of pushed, you know, like, and then suddenly we're going up this sort of aisle and then, you know, I walk along a bit and then push. And we ended up in this bookshop. And then sort of, oh, let's have a look over here, Dennis. So over here on the shelf here, there's the Dhammaloka, the Dalai Lama rather, and all of that. But then up at the side there was just a row of Ajahn Brahm's books and a great big life-size cutout of him standing right there beside. So he'd managed to manoeuvre me into the bookshop there to sort of show me that he was one of the best sellers here. This was the best-selling book now. And then as soon as all the girls in the shop realised that it was Ajahn Brahm, they're all, oh, Ajahn Brahm, can I have your photo? Can I have a photo with you? He's lined up with all these pretty girls with his cardboard cutout there, having photos taken. But, you know, it's this ability that Ajahn Brahm has to be really loving of himself. You know, it's been one of the most inspiring things that I've kind of noticed about him and taught me so much really about Buddhism and how to practice. Because even though, because on this trip home, I remember I said to you, you'll probably remember, I said, there's nothing about you, Ajahn Brahm, you're a skite. And he said to me, what's a skite? And I was just sort of explaining, you know, how it's, you know, you're kind of really like yourself and sort of things like that. But I certainly, in saying this, I'm not, you know, I never see that as a way that Ajahn Brahm is trying to, if you like, blow sunshine up his bottom or something like that. It's not like that at all. Ajahn Brahm is someone who genuinely likes himself. He kind of likes to be with himself. And you can see, you can just see how, well, even the story of the walking meditation, you know, how many of us really could start off like that, to walk and just go into a deep concentrated state with that. You can only do that when you really do like yourself, when you really do like being with yourself. Ajahn Brahm likes being with himself. Now, there's been a lot of people that have come to the centre over the years, and I've heard, probably he has too, a bit of criticism about that, you know, that. But this, I think, is one of his best qualities. The fact that he can really cherish and be with himself, love himself. It's just sort of such a wonderful, wonderful thing to, you know, to think about. And coupled with that, though, I just wanted to tell just a little story of an effect that he had on me a long time ago now. Don't know if you remember this even. But I used to play the piano. And I'd learnt, because I was in a band, a bit like quite a few of the monks apparently, they all seem to be in bands and that, but I was in a school band anyway. And we used to play a few dances and things like that. I played guitar and banjo and piano. And I'd been learning, but I sort of went and did some more lessons and, you know, I was starting to get reasonably okay. I could sort of, you know, sit with myself and play, and started to play a few classical songs and certainly a few popular songs and that, but I was just talking to Ajahn Brahm something about about the way this was working. I was saying, I'm just going to take more lessons, to do some lessons now with the piano so that I can maybe just deepen that a bit. And he looked straight at me and he said, "What are you doing that for?" Now, when a monk says that to you, you kind of think, wow, you know, because I mean, I don't know that I really fully understood. It took quite a while for this suggestion to integrate into me. But I mean, and I know that, you know, when you sort of go beyond, say, 8 precepts and you're moving to the 10, you're starting to move away from sort of looking at the world in a way that's that gives you pleasure and gratification in ways like that. Or really, probably the right word is more enchantment, because that's the way that I kind of was with music, or I am, still am, with music. Music can really cause me to become enchanted. And I know this sort of works. I remember Ajahn Nissarano once giving a talk once, and he was talking about coming out of a retreat one time, and he said, and this music was playing in the background, and it was the song "Tell Laura I Love Her." Someone remembers that too. Yeah, and he was saying how that just sort of picked him up and took him, enchanted him. I mean, and that's how we are with the world, isn't it? We've kind of got this enchantment with the world. But when Ajahn Brahm said that, it took a little while to sort of really appreciate, because I took it on board, what he said. You know, what are you doing that for? But it really started to sort of point to the way that his mind works, and the way that I think the Buddha's mind works too. What it is to see the dukkha in this world, because we're all so idealistic, aren't we? Well, I try to be anyway. You try to be idealistic about things, but this world is not. It's not fixable. You can't fix it. You can't make it perfect, and it takes such an effort, really. Taken me really all of the time that I've been involved with Buddhism just to sort of fully appreciate that this is not a fixable place. That this place, even though this world and the universe may be balanced in some way, but it's balanced because it's got these sort of, well, what I would call unusual valences that kind of offset. And you can never make them right, because everybody's got a different view of it. We're always going to be in trouble. We're always going to have a world the way that it is. And these sorts of things like music and just the sports and sort of the exhilaration of sort of, you know, whatever it might be, climbing a mountain or skiing down a slope, all of these sorts of things, whilst they might be okay, but I think what Ajahn Brahm was telling me or pointing to me that day was, look a little deeper, look a little deeper. And this is how he is. He's got this almost laser vision, laser focus on what it is to be, on what the right view is. And the right view is not to sort of get entangled with the world, not to become enchanted by it. So that little lesson that you gave me that day, Ajahn, do you remember that at all? Do you remember when I said that, or when you said it to me?
Actually, no.
No.
I'm honest.
Because I must admit, when you said it, I was a bit sort of dumbfounded, even maybe a little bit, what does he know? You know? A bit like that. Anyway, I think I might have gone over my time too now, so I'll leave my comments at that, but just wish you all the very best. I'm very, very pleased that you're still in robes, Ajahn Brahm.
Yes, thank you. You've been a good friend.
Yeah, and you have been, one of my best friends.
Excellent.
So thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Can we give Dennis 3 loud sadhus? Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Very nice sharing by Dennis. Yep, he's been our president for a number of years, ex-presidents, And then he's also our honorary member of BSWA. So Shane, can you move to I think you might have to move 2 slides, I think. So the next segment would be the dialogue between Ajahn Brahm and Ajahn Brahmali. One more, Shane. So Ajahn, unfortunately, you've now got only 45 minutes.
Okay.
And I think Ajahn Brahm is relieved. Ajahn, you cannot, you have to face the camera because I think it's quite intimidating when you look at Ajahn Brahmali.
I think that's the point. I think that was the whole point of it. I don't think that was no accident.
I think yesterday we had so for those of you who were not here yesterday, we had a panel discussion with the monks and nuns, and then the nun was talking, but Ajahn Brahm was sitting here and she couldn't talk, so he had to leave. So I can understand how Ajahn Brahmali is feeling.
Yeah, no,
So sorry to interrupt.
I'm okay. I know Ajahn Brahm too well to be intimidated by Ajahn Brahm. Anyway, so thank you very much, Lee. The first thing that occurred to me, Ajahn, was looking more fierce than usual. The first thing that occurred to me when you said, "Oh, can you do an interview with Ajahn Brahm?" was that now is my chance to get my own back on Ajahn Brahm. Ajahn Brahm
in your dreams.
In my dreams, that's right. So I thought I would tease him a little bit. And I said to Ajahn Brahm, "Well, this is my chance," I said to Ajahn Brahm, "to torture you a little bit." And Ajahn Brahm replied, "You will not be able to torture me." And of course, he is right. I was wrong. So anyway, we'll see what happens. So I'm going to ask Ajahn Brahm a number of questions. I'm going to start with the earliest part of your life, Ajahn, and then I'm going to take it all the way to the end. Let's see what happens on the way. Are you going to promise not just to tell your ordinary stories, but say something special, something different this time? This is. Are you?
I cannot keep promises.
You cannot keep promises. Okay, but are you going to promise anyway? Or no. Okay, so here we go.
Okay.
So starting with going back to your early years, Ajahn, I remember one of the stories that you very often tell. I have accumulated a number of questions here. This is accumulation from various peoples and everything. Going back to the very early years, you said you won a science award at your Latimer upper school when you were there. You were given a book voucher and you went to Foyles of London, I think.
Yes.
And you picked up some books there. But you went straight to the religion section. Why did you go to the religion section?
Well, first of all, its location. In Foyles Bookshop is a very big bookshop in Tottenham Court Road. And I did what my teacher told me to do, to go to the maths section first of all. And I picked up some of those maths books and they were so boring. It's my first school prize. I could get those books from library. So instead, the opposite side of the road and the annex of Foyles Bookshop, in the attic, the top story, that was where there were always like the kind of forbidden books, not just on different religions, but also books on psychology and philosophy, and anything which was weird was up there. So that kind of attracted me, the weird and forbidden stuff.
Why did that attract you? What was the reason?
I'm rebellious.
So, okay, but I mean, you can be rebellious in many ways, right? You were going to the religion section. What was there? What was the?
It was not just religion. It was like the Eastern religions.
Eastern religion, right?
Yeah. So, but one of the things I wanted to do, and this was true, I realized spirituality or religion, that sort of path was important. So I wanted to find out, what type of religion to follow. I did get a copy of the Quran, a copy of the Bhagavad Gita, a copy of, The Third Eye by Logtam Rampa. It was a good read, but a lot of rubbish. But then also just a book on Buddhism by Christmas Humphreys.
Yeah.
And it wasn't as if that sort of inspired me. It was just that kind of realized that's who I was. I was a Buddhist.
Yeah.
It never ever converted me. It would just say, my views and the way I looked to the world, it already had a name. It's the first time I realized what that name was. It was Buddhism.
So you realized that spirituality was important. Why did you realize that?
I realized it was important because my interest was in science, in physics, how the world works. But just physical laws, that's not enough. There's something more important behind that. And I do remember just Dennis over there. Remember that time we had this invitation to go and have dinner with Sir Roger Penrose? Yeah. Here's what...
You ended up inviting me.
Yeah, because they said Ajahn Brahm and partner. And I don't have any. And I know that Dennis was really into science. And Roger Penrose, I mean, he was one of the big stars of science. He was really way up there, you know, with Stephen Hawking. Stephen Hawking wasn't that well known yet, but Roger Penrose was. And to have like dinner with him. And the fascinating thing there, that he was a wallflower, Roger Penrose. You couldn't talk to him. And this is one of the reasons why I realized that being a monk was a much better choice of lifestyle. Not only do you understand deeper truths than Roger Penrose, but also it makes you easier to convey those truths to other people.
So was there any particular influence in your early life, like any people, anyone who kind of guided you towards spiritual ideals, or was it coming from yourself?
Coming from myself.
So if you come from yourself, did it come from a past life?
I had to.
Yeah? So what do you think happened in the past life?
What do I think?
Yeah.
You can't think about past lives.
If you were to make a guess, what do you think you were in the past life?
You cannot make guesses as monks.
Educated guess.
They never studied reincarnation at university, so it cannot be an educated guess.
Do you think you were a monk in the past life?
Do I think? I say we don't think as monks.
Well, you may be a nun. Could you have been a nun in a past life?
Could have been. I could have been anything.
Yeah. Really? Anything?
Yeah.
Okay. Next question.
Okay.
Okay. So
I think it's me torturing you now.
Yeah. So then, yeah. So okay. So you mentioned that you took up the book Lobsang Rampa. That was just because it was crazy. Is that right?
Yeah,
the reason why you picked it up?
Weird,
and you liked weird stuff.
Yes,
so that was kind of okay. Good. Okay. So anything else in your background that how your background has affected your monastic life? For example, you always talk about coming from a working class family. You're living in Acton, and I guess the community there was quite nice community. Maybe, I don't know.
No, it's very poor. But I often say that one of the people I only found out last year who went to my primary school and my secondary school, that was Alan Rickman, Dr. Snape, in Harry Potter apparently. He was probably a really scary person, but he went to the same primary school as I did, so he came from a very poor family, and then he got also a scholarship to go to Latimer. Mm-hmm. He was about 4 years senior to me, but I must have seen him.
Did any of these people at that time, did they affect you in any way in terms of your decisions in life? Any of the people you grew up with, your friends, acquaintances, whatever?
Yeah. I remember one of the, never to be afraid, because as many of you heard me tell this story, that when I was in the last year at primary school, my father had the afternoon off work, and he came to see me at lunchtime and said he had his 2 tickets to go to a World Cup soccer qualifier match at Wembley Stadium that afternoon. It's such a shame that I had to go to school that afternoon. And I said, well, I can always ask my teacher. And my teacher was a disciplinarian in the school. It was really tough. And I had the nerve to say, well, I can go and ask him. There's nothing wrong with asking. So I went up to the teacher and said, is it okay if I go to Wembley Stadium this afternoon for a World Cup qualifier match, England versus, please excuse me, Poland? I still remember it. And my teacher looked at me as if I had the nerve to ask something like that. And he said, why don't you? Why not? Off you go. He let me go. I think it was acknowledging the fact that I had the nerve and courage to ask. And the hardest thing was when I went down to see my father was waiting for me. I said, yeah, I've got permission to go. He said, have you really? Yeah. And so, of course, when I went to school the next day, all my friends were so jealous. How did you do that? Because they were studying maths or science or something, and I was just watching the football match with my teacher's permission.
Okay.
What I learned from that is that be courageous. You can only ask, and people respected that.
Okay, good. So I'm going to move on a bit right now to the monastic life, Ajahn. So in your 50 years as a monk, what has been the most fruitful and beneficial period now?
That's a good one. The whole lot.
The whole lot?
Yeah.
In different ways or in the same way? Yeah.
Different ways.
Okay, can you explain a bit about those different ways?
In different ways. First of all, when you first started out as a monk, you're always trying to attain things and get things. But when you got that out of the way, then you realize the most important thing in the monastic life is to be able to share all that you've experienced with others. It's like you've found this wonderful mine shaft of wisdom and kindness and stillness and peace. And it's important to share that with as many people as you possibly can. That becomes kind of the meaning of your life. Imagine, you get some really nice meditations, some really good insights, some deep states of freedom. What would you want to do? You can't keep it to yourself. There is no self to keep it to. But then after a while, you just share with as many other friends as you possibly can. And that does give me some of the greatest joy. When somebody comes along, usually after a meditation retreat, and they come and they have the time to tell you what they've been experiencing. And you realize it's valid, it's true. Another wonderful experienced meditator, wise Buddhist in the world. And that's the greatest gift you could ever give to me. The fact that you've also been following the path of the Buddha and experienced the great freedoms and peace and bliss which the Buddha described.
Thank you. Has monastic life given you any special insights into yourself?
No.
No.
Because there is no self to have insights into.
Yeah. Okay, but that's an insight, isn't it?
Is it?
I'm asking you, Ajahn.
There's these wonderful insights. Just like you see in traditional Buddhism, that's one of the strange things that it goes against my idea of being a rebel, or, to do things differently. To see how the Buddha taught, how the Buddha practiced and described. That's just so true and realistic. And sometimes people think all those things are they're burdened by all the cultural baggage of the past. And basically they're not. The core teachings of the Buddha, they are still as valid today, they work as well today, and they're so powerful today as they were years ago, hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago. And that's actually why we have bhikkhunis. Because the Buddha said that's so important for the growth of Buddhism in our world. Bhikkhunis and bhikkhus and lay people. That's why we have them. Because that's how the Buddha wanted us to practice. And that's why, of course, I have spent a lot of hard work, just fighting for and getting not just bhikkhu monasteries, but also bhikkhuni monasteries, and also retreat centers and lay centers, as we got here and many other places. And that's actually the meaning of my life.
Sadhu. Okay. Next one, Ajahn. What is for you the most unexpected part of monastic life?
Unexpected?
Yeah.
It's just to realize just when you expect things, you never get anything. Okay. And when you stop expecting things, everything gets so peaceful and blissful and beautiful. It's not a path of expectation. It's a path of inspectation.
Mm-hmm. And that was...
Going in.
Okay, and you discovered that as you transited from lay life to monastic life? Is that when you discovered this, or was it...
Well, I think many of you know those stories. The first time I just discovered the power of meditation, it was still as a lay person. And I'm trying to think, because you were questioning me about this, I think it was, someone was anyway, but about the last girlfriend which I had. And I remember just having a lovely time together, but I said, I'm going to go on a retreat for 9 days over in Cambridge. And so off I went on my retreat, had a really lovely meditation, and basically that was the end of that relationship. And sometimes I didn't realize at the time, but now you look back and when you have something like, the peace and the freedom of the Dhamma, you're not really sort of caught up in relationships anymore. And that was actually even before I became a monk. I mean, I didn't really have anybody to discuss it with or to really understand it. But later on you saw someone like an Ajahn Chah, and you realise, okay, yes, this is the way.
Okay. Thank you. So next one is about you are become an extraordinarily famous monk. I think they say on the lists, they have the Dalai Lama, maybe Thich Nhat Hanh, and kind of Ajahn Brahm is kind of that is the sort of standard sequence you see sometimes these days. Has that ever affected the decisions that you have made, the fact that you have become famous and things?
No, to be honest with you, that sometimes I can't understand that. To be famous, why? I get more photos taken of me now that I'm fat and old, than when I was young and handsome. But I enjoy it sometimes. I enjoy it because sometimes there's advantages and disadvantages. And one of those advantages is that sometimes you go on an aircraft. I still remember going on this aircraft in Garuda over to Singapore to give some talks, and just only sitting in the back in economy class somewhere, and then this flight attendant, Indonesian, she stops and looks at me. Are you Ajahn Brahm? I said, I think so. And then she started gushing. She put her hand over her heart. Oh, I must be your most devoted disciple. I read all of your books and listen to all of your talks. Oh, thank you so much. And then, I said, okay. But then I knew I was going to get extra special service on that flight. And of course I did. But then, in the middle of the flight, once they had given the breakfast or whatever it was, then she came up to me again and said, would you mind coming up to the front, to the galley? This was in a commercial aircraft. So, yeah, okay. So I went up to the front. I was a bit concerned. But they had the whole flight crew were there for a photo session. And that was just weird. So I was at the front, so okay. And it wasn't just one photo, this person, that person, the whole crew and the whole lot. But anyway, all these lights were going off in the front. It was a flight from Perth to Bali. And because Bali was the first stop, all these Aussies were in there and they were ringing. They needed another top-up of their beer. The flight attendant said, no, we've got to finish the photo session first. And so as I walked back, after I had the photo session, all the people, they realized that I'd stopped them having an extra beer. And I got these really interesting comments and looks from all these Australians going on holiday, not being able to have enough beer because I took up all the flight attendants, not just one of them, the whole lot of them, for a photo op. I kind of enjoyed that.
Okay. So one other reason I asked this, Ajahn, is because back in 2009 when we did the Bhikkhuni ordination, and I always thought that once you have all these accolades and fame and all of these kind of things, then you will think about, should we do this or not? It will maybe lead to a decline in fame. It may lead to a problem with being Chao Kun in Thailand. Maybe they will kind of demote you on the hierarchy and all of these kind of things. And one of the things that I found, for me, was very inspiring was that those things never went into the calculation when we did that. It was just about what is right, basically. And that was kind of, and this is one of the reasons why I asked that. So would you want to comment on that?
Correct, yes. This was one of the times, again I've mentioned many of these anecdotes, the time I really started getting well known, famous you might say, was when I went to Singapore and they'd arranged a series of talks in Suntec City Convention Centre. They got big halls at the top. And this one evening, it wasn't anybody else who was talking, just me. just by myself. And in the hall there's about 3,000 people already sitting there waiting to listen to me. And it was a weekday. And I realized, in Singapore, you have to probably miss your dinner that evening, go straight from work, straight to this hall to listen to a talk. And I just contemplated, if I gave a very bad talk, then of course that would turn people off Dhamma. And I love the Dhamma. And the last thing I ever want to do is to diminish people's respect for meditation or Dhamma because of something I said. And the second thing, I thought, if I give a good talk, then I'm in danger of what they call gains, honor and fame. Because I see many other people getting proud and arrogant because of what they said. And so I thought, my goodness, how can I deal with this? And then he got a wonderful insight that all the time I've sat here and given talks or led meditation teachings anywhere in the world, I've never given a talk. I realize all the words which come out of my mouth are the conditioning, what I usually call brainwashing, from all the teachers I've known over the years. Mostly like from an Ajahn Chah and every other teacher which I went to see who inspired me. All monastics, female as well as male. And all of those people I've listened to over those years, basically they're responsible. So I never actually connect Ajahn Brahm with anything I said. And that's one thing which I wanted to stress this somewhere today, is please remember you should never take refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma and Ajahn Brahm. You only take refuge in the Buddha, the Dhamma and the Sangha. And the Sangha means monastics, male and female. That's where you take refuge in. So please, I know that some people say they're a follower of Thich Nhat Hanh or the Dalai Lama. You don't take refuge in the Dalai Lama. You don't take refuge in Thich Nhat Hanh. You don't take refuge in Ajahn Chah. You take refuge in the Sangha, as well as the Buddha and the Dhamma. Please remember that.
Okay, good, thanks. So, is there anything you would have liked to done differently in your monastic life, Ajahn?
No.
Okay, good. That's nice, isn't it? I think this is what Dennis would talk about, loving yourself. There's kind of nothing to regret, anything like that. You that's wonderful. Okay, so now I'm going to ask some slightly more specific questions about your monastic life. Did you ever experience hunger? And if you did, how did you deal with it?
Oh yeah, I experienced hunger, not eating for a few days. Yeah. But it's easy to deal with. You don't die from hunger. I just remember doing fasts. I remember it's lovely to do fasts, so like purging your body, and just meditating is fine. But one of the times I went on a fast, one of the villagers from Bungwai village came to see me and he said, Ajahn Brahm, why aren't you eating my food? So I'm eating no one's food. I said this in Thai, or in Isan language, and he said, I'm doing this just to fast. He said, no, please, because they see the monk as a receptacle, so they can make good karma. It took me a long while to realize that. I wasn't a burden on them, I was a burden when I didn't eat their food. That's why, I don't know how many, she's not here, I think Mona's, she's going off to Thailand this afternoon. This morning, she brought this huge cake. I mean, a huge one. It was huge, wasn't it?
Yeah, massive, yeah.
Massive, yeah. And she knows I like that cake. But then, that I never... It's being recorded, isn't it? I shouldn't have... Okay, she won't mind. I never ate any of it. I said, keep some for lunchtime. But, sometimes... why? Why I promised to eat some of that cake at lunchtime? It's simply because it's not that I want it or I need it. It's because she needs to give it to me. And if you are a Thai or a Sri Lankan, or even just many of you who are here, you realize that if you don't eat somebody's food, they get really disappointed. They made it specially for you.
So too much food is more of a problem than hunger, is that right? Or?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay, good. Next one, Ajahn. What is the most painful experience in a monastic life?
That's a really good question. Got to think. Okay, yeah, I'll say this again. It's a story you've all heard before. There's just when you get very, very sick. And a few of those times, when I had scrub typhus, I was only like 24, 5 years of age or something. I forget how much now, but had so little energy, totally worn out. And it's mentioned in the book. That's where Ajahn Chah came to see me. It was a very painful experience. Used to have these injections every morning and afternoon in your backside with these really dull needles. The reason they was dull was because we reckon this was the time when they had recycled needles. They used to boil them to try and sterilize them. They used them in Bangkok first, and after using them in Bangkok, they'd send them up to the northeast. And after using them in the northeast, then they send them down to the monks because we were supposed to be tough. You needed to be tough. And so did the nurse who injected you. She was built like a wrestler. Stab in your backside twice a day. And your backside was so sore. You had no energy, otherwise I'd have run. But eventually, that's the most painful. And Ajahn Chah came, and it's in that book. It's wonderful. Whenever you have any painful experiences, you always have some wonderful things you can remember. He was the one who said, Ajahn Brahm, you'll either get better or you'll die. And he left. Great wisdom, but no bedside manner.
No. Okay. Did you ever have any doubts, Ajahn, about the monastic life or Buddhism or anything? Yeah.
No, that's a great question, because I can answer that without any fear at all. And the answer is weird, is no. For 50 years, not any doubt. There were 2 times when I really tested myself. One of my best friends as a monk used to sit next to him, and he decided he wanted to disrobe, and then so off he went. And afterwards I remember going back to my hut. I was still young, and I still had a really good degree from Cambridge. Basically there was no reason why I wouldn't be able to survive really well in the world. So I asked myself, do you want to leave? No. No, I just contemplated any reason why you should leave. No. I couldn't find any reason, honestly. And that's why often any other monks in the monastery, then or now, who want to disrobe, if you want to ask me, you won't get a positive response. And even also, I'm going to be honest here, Dennis remembers this, when Ajahn Jacaro disrobed. And then some of the people here, they were asking me, oh, Ajahn Jacaro disrobed, when are you going to disrobe, Ajahn Brahm? Because they lost a bit of faith in the monks. And imagine you have like a person who's been a monk a long time, and then they disrobe. What does it do to you? So I remember, you were looking at trying to find a replacement for Ajahn Jacaro for a while. And so I knew I was next in line. So I remember going to my hut, and for about 2 or 3 days, Ajahn Brahm, is there any chance at all, any chance that you will ever disrobe? And if I could see any crack there at all, if I could have seen that there was a chance that somehow or other I would disrobe, I would never have accepted being the abbot of Bodhinyana Monastery. Because I could see the danger in that, and the terrible thing as a leader disappointing the followers. I looked and looked and looked, and I couldn't see any possibility, not any doubt at all. And I was looking for it, testing it out. Couldn't find anything. As a result of that, I said, okay.
Sadhu.
It was true. Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so now, Ajahn, I'm going to move on about your relationships with other people.
Okay.
So the first thing I want to ask you is, what is that you appreciate the most in other people?
I think the honesty.
Honesty,
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Anything else?
That's probably honesty more than anything. Because when they're honest, they're true to themselves. They can be true to me.
Yeah.
In other words, what they say is what they mean. They don't try and just pretend to impress me.
Okay. So next one is about your relationship with teachers and things. Who is the most important to you, the Buddha or Ajahn Chah?
Well, I've got to be honest, Ajahn Chah. Because he was someone I was actually with, could actually see. Of course, not Ajahn Chah, like the Buddha is something which was above everything. But important to actually, not just to have an idea, but to have experience with somebody. Of course, I'm not diminishing the importance of the Buddha, but you may have read about the Buddha, have ideas about the Buddha, but seeing someone actually practicing and living that life, that was really most important.
Yeah. So you had, the main relation, you knew Ajahn Chah, so that's kind of why you had a relationship with him. So how then would you describe your relationship with the Buddha?
It's something which is on a different sort of level. Somebody, at first, most of what he said and how he practiced was beyond me. Then over those years, your appreciation of the Buddha gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And some of the things which, he said, you actually see are real. And that's sometimes weird. Being a theoretical physicist, you were always taught, conditioned, brainwashed, only to see stuff which is provable, which you can actually experience for yourself. And when those things start to happen in your practice, that really, really increases your admiration of a Buddha.
Do you have a sense that when you read the suttas, that the Buddha actually is your teacher? Do you get that feeling?
Yeah,
yeah?
For sure.
Yeah. Okay. When Ajahn Chah died, did you feel any sense of loss or anything like that?
No.
Why not?
Why not? Because by that time you'd already understood a lot about what the Dhamma is. And if you understand what the Dhamma means, you don't feel sad when even your teacher disappears. You don't feel sad when your own father disappears. I won't feel sad when Ajahn Brahmali disappears.
Okay, fair enough. I think that's probably your least of your worries.
This is just the nature of the world.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
See, I did torture you.
No, that's good. I can deal with it, Ajahn, it's all right. Yeah. Okay, so now I want to move on to about your relationship to your disciples rather than your teachers. So first question is, how do you train your monks and nuns?
One of the things about training is, this is from the Chinese art of war. It's a weird thing to quote when you're looking about training human beings to be peaceful. But that was the story of the general who had the best discipline in the whole imperial armies. And the emperor asked him, "What's your secret?" And he says, "I only ever tell my troops to do what they want to do. That's why they always follow my orders. And that's the only thing I do with the monks and the nuns. I only ever tell Ayachan to do what she wants to do." How can I do that? Brainwashing. Inspiration to motivate people. When you motivate them and give them good reasons, why they should get up early in the morning, why they should let go, why they should meditate a lot, why they should keep precepts. Why? Because it's fun. It's joyful. It makes you really happy and peaceful, and your problems in life get less and less and less. So to train them, be a motivator. And please, whatever you do in your life, whatever role you have, as a BSWA ops manager, or as a secretary, or whatever role you have in your life, please make sure you know how to inspire others and motivate them. Then they'll always do the right thing. That's how I train people.
So if they, even though they should, in theory, always do the right thing, sometimes there are difficult disciples, perhaps. How do you deal with difficult disciples, and why?
Okay, with kindness, realizing they will change. This is where it may be a weakness of mine, but there are some disciples who've got trauma from the past, and they may have been told by professionals they've got all these problems from the past, even things like schizophrenia or ADHD or whatever else which they have. I always realize that the mind is much more powerful than anything else, much more powerful than the brain. And so you try and make sure you inspire them and see if they can break those boundaries and just do better than they're ever expected to do. And some of the disciples have done that, some haven't, but I give them a chance.
Is there ever a situation where you might tell someone off or correct them or something?
Sometimes I do, but then I can't really do it wholeheartedly. Have I ever told you off?
Very rare, yeah.
For what?
I can't even remember, to be honest. Yeah.
I told you I could ask questions.
Okay, no, that's good. What are the qualities of a good disciple, Ajahn?
What is patience?
Patience.
Yeah.
Okay.
In other words,
Yeah.
they have a bit of confidence, and eventually it all works out. And eventually that these things which they think are just huge problems for them will eventually disappear and vanish. At the moment they may feel that, I can't handle this. Just stay there and it just gets less and less and less.
Mm-hmm. And what are the attributes of a good candidate for ordination?
That they're breathing.
The breathing. Okay. Kind of what kind of breath? Is it kind of the peaceful breath or the rough breath, or does it?
The one that know if it's a long breath, it's long. If it's a short.
Okay. Any other kind of qualities? That's a fairly low bar, isn't it? To have to breathe.
Well, it's strange that all those years which I have been a teacher, being able to ordain monks and nuns, to this day I can never guarantee which of those monks, which of those nuns you ordain are going to be the stars in the future. And there have been a few people who thought, well, he's going to be a really good monk. She's going to be a great teacher in the future as a nun. But they're not. And there's others, I thought, I might as well ordain them, why not? And I thought, there's not much hope, but who knows. And they turned out wonderfully.
Was that me, Ajahn? What is the best way for a student to repay the teacher?
That's the neat one. To repay a teacher is always by inspiring others. They all pay it forward thing. This is what Ajahn Chah told me, that you'd say thank you to him, but then afterwards he said, no. You go off and you practice, you do well, and then when you teach other people, then that's how you've repaid me. To spread the Dhamma. Same with each one of you. Whatever you've heard from here, from any of the monastics here, or from anything, and the only way you can pay off your debts is actually by going to help somebody else. And sharing that Dhamma. And then it is true that, there's been a lot of people. Okay, this story, when I was just an attendant, a young monk, helping somebody else teach a retreat somewhere, and then this lady came in and said, "Thank you for saving my life." She said to the teacher, not to me. And it was real, sincere. And when I heard that compliment, I made a resolution that if ever, someone says that to me, Ajahn Brahm, thank you for saving my life, I realized that my monastic life had been really worthwhile. Just one person. And many people have said that. Because many people, imagine the job satisfaction of being a good monastic. And when they do say that, please accept it. Because they mean it. Don't think, oh, no, not me. You accept it, that encourages you to work even harder, to give that kindness, that instruction, that leadership. And then, how many people can you save in this life? That is always the best thank you anyone has ever given me. And now I want you to go and save somebody else's life, big time. So don't come here and thank me. Go out there and do the same thing to others.
Okay. Coming to the end of the questions, Ajahn, believe it or not, what lessons should we all learn from your life?
To live your own life, first of all. Please don't imitate me, because sometimes you see that everyone thinks, oh, this is how I should teach, this is how I should do things. And I rebelled. Be that that unique human being in this world, and all the stuff which you've had in your life, all the difficulties you've had in your life, all the pain you've had in your life. Never reject that. Incorporate that into your life. I always say that is the please excuse me, the shit from which you grow your wisdom. It turns into fertilizer and turns into this beautiful motivator and source of wisdom and understanding by which you can live a wonderful life. Doesn't matter how much you develop on the path. Remember, because of his many, many lives, that what you don't achieve or don't actually let go of in this life, you've always got another life to carry on. So be patient.
Yeah, so be rebellious, be patient. What else?
And tell bad jokes.
Tell bad jokes. Okay. Is that a sign of non-self, you telling bad jokes? What do you reckon? Yeah.
I don't know. The few seconds I say they're bad, I think they're not bad jokes. They're really of high value.
Why do you tell bad jokes? Actually, that's a good. I forgot that question. So now is the chance.
Why I don't tell bad jokes. I tell really refined jokes, but people aren't advanced enough to really understand and appreciate them.
Yeah. Someone suggested yesterday that the reason you do that is to make everyone feel at ease. Is that part of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is true. Like, I just look at the faces in the crowd. I've known you for so many years, most of you. It's wonderful, actually, for you to come here. Even if it might be an old joke. I mean, I saw when you were mentioning one of those old jokes, I haven't told it for a while, the carrot joke. Remember, you all know the carrot joke, I hope. But nevertheless, I'm going to tell it again. Two carrots were walking down the street. One got hit by a car. The other one got on his mobile phone, called the ambulance. Ambulance came within a few minute or two, and they looked at the injured carrot. He was so badly injured, they put him in the back of the ambulance straight away, and the fellow carrot went with him to the hospital, went to Royal Perth, and straight away in Royal Perth, the triage nurses took one look at the injured carrot, straight into surgery. This was life and death. And so they put him into this surgery, and his friend, the carrot, was waiting in the waiting room. It's always a very tense place. I've been in that waiting room before. People don't know their loved one, they're going to survive, they're going to die, what's going to happen. And after 2 hours, the doctor came into the waiting room and said, he noticed the friend of the injured carrot straight away. Your friend, the injured carrot inside? Yeah, that's me. That's my friend. Don't know how he could know that. But then he said, I got some good news and bad news. The good news is your friend, the injured carrot, we got him into surgery. Soon enough, he's going to survive. He's going to live. Such a relief. The bad news is, I've told this joke so many times, I cannot tell it without laughing beforehand. The bad news is, because of his injuries, he's going to be a vegetable for the rest of his life. How many times have you heard that?
A lot.
And you still laugh. Me too.
We laugh because it's bad.
Because it's good.
That's a nice. I like that one actually. That's
Yeah.
that's one of the better ones, Ajahn. Okay. Anyway. No, sorry.
You succeeded in your aim. You tortured me.
I succeeded. Okay, then we're coming to the very end now. So a couple of more questions. The second last one is, what is your advice for the BSWA for after you pass away?
No, you always stay in the present moment. Remember, your future is being made right now. So you just do the best you possibly can right now, and then wait till the future. Who knows what might happen?
Where should we build the Ajahn Brahm Museum?
In your heart.
Sadhu. That's a good answer. Okay, very last question, Ajahn, because time is just running out. What can we all do, monastics and lay people, to support you into the future?
Nothing. You always do too much. Now's the time for you to do less. Be more peaceful, more free. Sometimes you can say, oh, do this, do that, do this, do that. Always doing things to try and solve problems. How about doing less to solve problems?
Excellent. So that is, okay, we have only, it's 1 minute to 10, so it's perfect
Hang
timing.
on.
So let's do all a big triple Ajahn Brahm sadhu.
Okay.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, Lehar, over to you again.
Thank you, Ajahn Brahmali. Can we also give 3 big sadhus to Ajahn Brahmali for doing this wonderful session with Ajahn Brahm?
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you. That was very insightful, wasn't it? Yes. Very nice. Maybe we should do this more often. But I'm not sure how many monks or nuns will have the courage of doing this. Okay, so we are going to do Zoom with BSV. I can see Ajahn Nissarano walking. Who else is there? It's not very clear. Can we switch over to the... Is the audio coming out?
Well, maybe they can announce who's there.
Is this the library? Where is this in BSV?
It's the
Do you
hall.
know?
Yeah.
The meditation hall?
The monks' quarters.
The monks' quarters. Okay. Yep. Can you tell who are the other monks? I would think it's Ajahn Nissarano, Ajahn Mudito, Ajahn Sadaro, and I think there's one more.
Maybe Venerable Bodhicitta.
Bodhicitta?
Maybe Venerable Metta Vihari. The other ones are over there.
Okay. I think I see 4.
There we are.
The meditation hall? The monks' quarters. Okay. Okay, so just to give people some background on where they are right now. So in Melbourne, so we have BSV, which is the Buddhist Society of Victoria, and then we've got they are saying hi. So everybody just wave. And we've got a monastery in Newbury, but the monks and nuns would go to, similar to how the Bodhiana and Dhammasara nuns would come to Dhammaloka to give talks over the weekend. So they do the same thing for in BSV. So right now, this weekend, Ajahn Nissarano is there.
Please, those who wish to see that from our side, at 5 o'clock we can see it. So it's a wonderful opportunity today to celebrate 50 years. This is something really special, Bhante, Ajahn Brahm. I don't think we'll be here for the next 50th anniversary celebration. I certainly won't be. Maybe you will be. So I'd just like to thank all those that made it possible today, and particularly in Lehar and the BSWA technology people, and particularly Sri Juth here making it possible, because it's quite a difficult feat to make it all mesh. And so it's wonderful today that we're here to celebrate a life before the person passes away, while the person's still here, so we can have that appreciation, that gratitude. I know Ajahn Brahm says the gratitude we should show is by actually sharing and inspiring others. But it is great for us, Bhante, from our side, to be able to be grateful. It's good emotion, actually. And you are one of the best spiritual friend we can have, Kalyana Mitta. Of course, the Buddha is the paramount Kalyana Mitta, but we need, as you said, a guide that's here and now, that can really inspire us that we can do it too, and you've done that. So I would just like to say sadhu for keeping the Dhamma wheel rolling, keeping it rolling into the future, keeping it rolling within Australia. You've had a big effect, Bhante, on the Dhamma in Australia and in the world. So I'd like to just pass over to a short song from our Dhamma school. They had a program last week, and this is a lovely one, and it ties in with what you have been doing for all of us for so long. So there we are. Is it? Great.
It's a beautiful song. Sound of silence.
Ajahn, that's the sound of silence.
Yes. It's very beautiful. Only those who have got good sila can hear it.
Sadhu. Sorry. And now we'll pass over to Adrian, the President of the Buddhist Society of Victoria, for his short reflection.
Sorry, Ajahn, they weren't able to hear the music, so unfortunately,
and
so they
now
suffered
we'll
through
pass
that.
over to Adrian, the President, Adrian T, President of the Buddhist Society of Victoria, and a great inspiration to all of us too. Sadhu.
Thank you, Ajahn.
Yeah, Adrian.
Thank you, Leah. Thank you, Ajahn Brahm, for giving us this opportunity to celebrate the 50th Bhikkhu anniversary of the Blessed One. And also thank you to Lehar and the technology group of the Dhammaloka, Bodhiana Monastery, and of course, Sri Juth and the team here. Thank you all for coming here to join us with these celebrations. I remember many years ago, according to the history, Ajahn Brahm stepped into the BSWA in 1939. That was 39 years ago. It's about 3/4 of Ajahn Brahm Bhikkhu life. Thank you, Ajahn, for sharing your blessing and your teaching with us. One great teaching which I can remember during that time was about 8 years ago, when me and one of the committee members took Ajahn Brahm to visit a patient in the hospital. Me and that committee member were arguing over certain matters. So we turned to Ajahn Brahm, who was just walking along the hospital aisle to visit a patient, and say, Ajahn, who is right, me or that committee member? Ajahn Brahm say, give me your coin, I toss. If it's head, the other committee member is right. If it's tail, I'm right. So at the end of the day, I was perplexed. I said, why the Ajahn Brahm? You're not taking side. Why are you giving me not giving me an answer and talk nonsense to me? But after a while, I do realize the understanding. Yeah. It doesn't matter who is right, who is wrong. It's a matter of perspective. What's important is to maintain the harmony. At the end of the day, over time, nothing really matters who is right, who is wrong. The karma and the results will take its effect. And this is the motto and the core values which I've been nurturing and carrying in my commitment to the Society of Victoria. And it's one of the great teachings that on the surface you may not know, you may not understand. But once you experience it as part of your relationship with people, dealing with the society at large and the monastic, you start to understand really, there's no need to fight over who is right and wrong. Harmony is so important. When there's harmony, things will move. Things will get it right. And this is a great teaching I learned from you, Ajahn. And may you live for another 50 years, but they will make you 123 years old. Well, out of compassion, may you live that long. Thank you, Ajahn.
Thank you, Adrian, for that reflection. And now I think we'll move on a little bit because we've only got 7 minutes left before you leave for Pindapata and the lunch. So I think we may leave out. We had a photo tribute for you, Ajahn, but I think you've probably seen a few photo tributes in your time. And we had a lovely one during Ajahn Mudito's talk this morning. He did a talk for you entitled My Perfect Teacher. There we are. Isn't that a lovely title, My Perfect Teacher? And he had a slide presentation for that, so that was great. So now I'd like everybody, if you've got these sheets, we can move on to a chant of well-wishing for you, Ajahn Brahm. This is now you're on the receiving end. Usually you're actually giving the blessings and the chant blessings. So this is a chant that you may recognize, the two that we'll do from our hearts. Everyone got a sheet? Yep. No, we'll leave that one out, I think. May you realize the goal, be happy and flourish in the Buddha's teachings. May you be happy and healthy together with all your relatives. May you abide in well-being, in freedom from affliction, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may you maintain well-being in yourself. May everyone abide in well-being, in freedom from affliction, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may you maintain well-being in themselves. And now we'd like to do a short dedication, Bhante, of merit to you. And of course this is the traditional way of encouraging the Devas and the Nagas, they call them, these beings of great power, to rejoice in all the merit that you have made, that we have made, and then to protect Buddhism, to protect the teaching of Buddhism, and to protect you, Tuan, always, Sada. So there we are. This is a blessing that I think many of the people here will be familiar with. So please join in. Akasata Chabumata Devanaga Mahindika Punyang Tang Anumoditva Chirang Rakantu Sasanang Akasata Chabumata Devanaga Mahindika Punyang Tang Anumoditva Chirang Rakantu Desanang Akasata Chabumata Devanaga Mahindika Punyang tang anumoditva chirang rakantu twang sada. Sadhu, sadhu. And now to end off, Bhante, we'd like to ask forgiveness from you. Ajahn Mudita was just mentioning it, and this is probably an appropriate time. Please forgive us for the terrible chanting. So I will lead the asking for forgiveness. It's always a good thing for us to do. Probably from your side, Bhante, you always say nothing to forgive, but it always feels good when we actually ask for forgiveness, and also when we give forgiveness too for anything that's hurt us. So if you'd like to join in, everyone here, Ajahn Brahm, please forgive us for anything we have done or said that may have hurt or upset you, whether we did it intentionally or unintentionally. Sadhu, sadhu. And now we can also give forgiveness, a very important part of the equation. Ajahn Brahm, we forgive you for anything you have done or said that may have hurt or upset us, whether you did it intentionally or unintentionally. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And now we'd just like to finish with a very short video clip, which I think Ajahn Brahm, you'll really enjoy it. We haven't seen this one. There we are. So we pass over, and then we'll pass over to BSWA, to Perth, and they will be going for their lunch in 2 minutes. So here we are. It's the one of the last one, the teddy bear. Yeah, it's the last, very last. Spoilt it now. Doesn't matter. Still nice. Still, well, that's nice. It's the last one. Oh, what is it?
Very good. Oh.
Now, 3 sadhus too, why not? Can we sing? Can we sing? Sadhu, 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 Ajahn Brahm. Sadhu, sadhu. Have a good lunch. Behind us. All right. All right, turn around again. Hello. Hello, Bhante. Thank you. And thank you to all those that made this possible today. All right. Yes. If you'd like to stay, there is a photo tribute that we did. It's pretty similar to the one from this morning, and we can watch that. And if anybody wishes to share, you know, about how Ajahn Brahm has affected their lives, hopefully positively, and also any of their favourite stories or jokes. He told my favourite.
Can we turn off the Zoom?
Classic character. I think it's one of his best. So.
Because they are continuing their session in BSV, but we will, okay, thank you. So thanks Shane and the AV team for making this possible, because it's very challenging having to do Zoom, and then we have live streaming and trying to ensure that the sound comes out nicely. So, and they did a lot of testing. I'm very grateful to the AV team, particularly Shane and Gaia and the whole team. Thanks a lot for making this happen. And I think a lot of times we try to, because there's a lot of people who want to be part of this, but we can't accommodate everyone. So, but yeah, I think we're quite happy that BSB was able to join us for the last 15 minutes. So we're going to break for Dana. So the monks and nuns will proceed, and then we can all go over to the community hall. So reminder to come back at 1 o'clock for the quiz. And I invite any monks and nuns who wants to come back here and join the fun as well. Okay, so we'll see you all back here at 1 o'clock. Thank you. Oh, and Gasyong is helping me to distribute the books. So if you could pick up a copy. Maybe for now, just take a copy for yourself. And then see if we have any left. You can come back later after lunch. Yeah, so just pick a copy for yourself and come back later if you need more copies.